Hi, Nastasia. How you doing? So I've got your work up. Now, I noticed this is the same presentation that you had submitted over to the critique board for this week. And so be sure that all of my comments there would apply here as well for the final grade for this. Now, I wanted to do this video here and include this kind of synopsis of the grading rubric plus the comments that are basically the state of the project, as it were, and just to kind of get a grip of where we're at and where we need to be. I wanted to share this with you guys because, this is, you guys, everybody's been working so hard. So I don't just want to just come in here and say, hey, you got a deduction for this. I want to really explain. Now we talked about low resolution image, and I'm not even worried about that because we're not in the final presentation yet. But the one thing that I do want to comment on is your phase 3 design development, where you start placing your graphics. Like I said, you placing your graphics on things like billboards, etc. So basically, you've got Olympic promotion, which would be synonymous to your design development. Olympic promotion, you've got this one billboard, then you've used it twice here. So that's still one object. And you got the shirt, that's 2. You have the tickets, that's 3. You have the banner, that's 4. So basically, you've only got 4 items here, and that's just not enough. And what you're doing is good, there's just not enough of it. And I think that really to draw a nice connection, a nice emotional response from your viewer to the actual event itself, and to show that you've taken into consideration things like your fifth element and your branding graphics packages, supporting graphics, typography, etc., as well as placement of your horizontal, vertical logos and things like that. We can only show that through numbers. And when I say numbers, I mean the amount of material that you include in your presentation. So right now, I just don't think there's enough here. Let me jump over here, and I want to talk a little bit about what I've been mentioning and what we've been seeing in the last few weeks. And this is just a couple of things. Things like environmental graphics, large-scale building graphics. That's the graphics on the side of event buildings, like on the sides of stadiums. Event tickets, websites, apparel, print programs, that's an important one. Banners, kiosks, arena graphics, vehicle wraps, sporting event graphics, posters, digital media, merchandising, and that's just to name a few. One of our classmates even submitted a mock-up of her Olympic graphics applied to food packaging that would be sold in the concessions area of the event. So I thought that was really creative. And I think that the creativity here is just, there's no limits to what you can do. So I think the more creative, the better. So right now, I would expect, Nastasia, I would expect to see a deduction here based on depth and scope of ideations and processes. And that's just simply saying that, the depth and scope, it's not saying that your research is there, your technical understanding is there, and the quality of the presentation is there. It's just that there's just not enough here to really get a solid idea of where you're going into your final presentation. In other words, if you were to transpose this right into your final presentation, I think it would be lacking in terms of visual development, as far as placing your Olympic logo, graphics, fifth element, supporting graphics to create a cohesive, harmonious package. Okay, so those would be my comments. Now we're moving into final presentation next week, so don't forget we'll just make sure that you get those together. I would refine this presentation for your first presentation I shouldn't say next week, I should say this week, week 7. And we'll talk about composition, page structure, page mechanics, typography, color, grid usage, etc. Okay, if you have any questions or comments or concerns, please let me know. Thanks, Nastasia.